Thank you so much for having me, and happy to talk about Connor's story. Um, I was pregnant with twins going into the beginning of the lockdown of the pandemic, and of course, went into labor the first day of the lockdown. And that was early March. So my fraternal twin daughter and son were born. And luckily, unbeknownst to me, I had opted into the newborn screening program that Massachusetts currently has as a pilot program. I didn't even know I opted in. I didn't even know they would do that. So that's an important point here, because luckily I did, and his screening came back showing he had SMA type 1, which is the most serious form of spinal muscular atrophy. Kids in the past who had this would not survive past age 2. So at that point, and I have to give a lot of credit to, number one, the lab that did the screening, because they quickly turned it around, and then they retested him just to make sure it was correct, and quickly turned that around. And then also the neonatology department at Newton Wellesley Hospital, because that was key. They contacted Dr. Swoboda, who happens to be one of the world's top experts in SMA. And we're very lucky, actually, that we're in Boston, because if we were in another location, this would have been a lot more difficult. Luckily, all of these things happened, and Dr. Swoboda moved extremely quickly to get Connor over to Massachusetts General Hospital to their NICU. So my children were separated, and I was stuck in the hospital with high blood pressure. And my husband was not allowed to be with me, and I was alone. So it was an extremely difficult time. But Connor, luckily, through Dr. Swoboda's, kind of amazing work, and she did so much behind the scenes. She can speak to that, because I was in the hospital, and then I was kind of recovering. And so the only thing that I would say that was important that I did at that time was, number one, not to Google anything and not to go by anything, what the internet says, and to just kind of go day to day, and then to trust my physician and to trust the experts and let them, give them permission to treat him. That was key, because that kept him pre-symptomatic, because time is of the essence with many of these rare conditions. And if you don't stop something before it starts, you're not going to stop it. And so that's what's so important about, number one, the newborn screen. I mean, it needs to be in every state, but that's another discussion. And then Dr. Swoboda was able to treat Connor at 9 days old with his first dose, I believe it was 9 days, his first dose of Spinraza, to keep him pre-symptomatic. And again, at the time, I didn't really understand what exactly she was doing. I just knew she knew what she was doing. So I said, go ahead, please do what you need to do to help him. So he was treated with Spinraza. And we amazingly got the Spinraza doses. That was a whole nother issue, because it was very difficult to get things in the beginning of the pandemic during the lockdown. It was very difficult to get couriers for these medicines in and out of places. And again, she can speak more to that. So he received the Spinraza, which kept him pre-symptomatic until he was able to receive gene therapy. He received Zolgensma at 3 months old via infusion. And as a result, today he's 9 months old. He's hitting all his developmental milestones. He's completely normal. He's completely normal, which is, I mean, I've never, this is all new to me, but for Dr. Swoboda, it is always like, this is amazing. This is amazing. And for someone like Dr. Swoboda to say that, it has to be really amazing. So, because doctors don't just throw those terms around, they're data driven. And so, Connor's sitting up on his own. He kicks his legs. He's extremely strong. He's really loud. He swallows normally, breathes normally. He's normal. He keeps up with his twin sister. They're almost exactly the same. So, I'm sharing his story, and I'm glad to be here with Dr. Swoboda, because I feel really strongly there are a lot of very important lessons in this. Number one, it's newborn screening has to be done in every state immediately. And that will save kids' lives, period. It saved Connor. And number two, it just to show how immediate action and the coordinated teamwork among all of these groups, caregivers, doctors, insurance, we never had pushback from United Health. Again, amazingly. Biotech and pharma, because Novartis and Biogen, that was also, they were key in getting him the medications. It's absolutely critical for these kids. And, hopefully sharing his story will, help to either help other families who maybe they didn't know about newborn screening and then now they do, or, anyone who's in the biotech industry or the pharma industry, just to show how you have to work together in this space. It's kind of like the oncology paradigm, like where that's shifted to, it's more like an N of one, and everyone's different. And these medications, you have to it's important to be able to work together to save these people and to keep them normal and to keep them healthy, versus kind of competing with each other like pharma and biotech are used to doing. So it's a different way of thinking about it.